the ad for the bed with numbers and dormancy, whatever is running. Hello, everybody. Greetings from the dank basement. With me is Mr. Chris Oldham. You may know him as O.S.P. Snuff. You should know him as Thompson's Lamp. Published on SoundCloud on Christmas Eve 2022. This is What Sticks.
I can't tell you how little I listen to this anymore.
You don't listen to it very much anymore?
No, it was the same when I had a YouTube channel or when I made Snuff. Like once it was out there, I didn't play it back. I didn't take pinches. It was just it's out now.
Yep. Now, what is this? This song is called something about taking care of the rabbits or mind the rabbits. Mind the rabbits. Mind the
Mind the
rabbits.
Rabbit. It's a reference to going down rabbit holes. It's about panic attacks for anyone else who experiences panic attacks and anxiety disorder. It's meant as an intro to the next track, but I put a lot of work into it.
Well, the found sounds, the modulated, almost a shortwave radio signal, sort of in the right, sort of like compressed data code in the right, bursts of sound left and right channels. The piano ostinato, which is deep. I love the. Is that a harp patch behind that? I mean,
That's the harp.
it's a harp
It is.
and
It's a harp through the piano tech software, and one of the pianos is in Celeste, which works because the next track opens up with the piano in Celeste, and the other piano is Mach Grocery open cabinet.
wow. Okay, the second track is called.
Cauliflower.
I love this.
Can I tell you a little bit about how this song happened?
Just give me a sec. Just give me a sec.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to sip on this a little bit, Chris. I'm getting shivers, man. Lovely round. All right, so tell me about the aegis of this song.
All right, so originally this came about, myself and my youngest son were fooling around on the keyboard, and I kept playing home movies. This was a month after my dad died
Mm-hmm.
in 2021, and the original working title of this was The Sound of My Father's Voice. And the original melody I kind of just came up with while fooling around on the keyboard with my son, and most of it I actually wrote on an upright piano at a local church where the pastor knows that I'm not even Christian, but he was very cool to move the keys to all the pianos in the church for me so I could play whenever I wanted to. And about 3 days a week, taking the bus home from work, I'd stop there instead of going right home, and then I'd walk the 40 minutes home from there. The reason for the title Cauliflower, the reason I changed it is because my earliest memories hanging out with my dad was watching college football, and he'd be sitting with a head of cauliflower, eating it like popcorn while drinking beer.
Wow, that's a great memory. I don't think my dad ever ate any weird things that I can think of, but he was just a stinky cheese fan every once in a while. Like the beer.
Stinky cheese is delicious too.
Yeah, well, you know. But that was my memory of my dad. So this is
But
again.
most of this track happened within about 2 hours at home. I recorded the main melody, and then I'm sitting in the living room with my MIDI station, and I'm fiddling around, and my wife is sleeping on the couch against the wall, like 5 feet in front of me, and the rest of it just happened in one night. It was one of the 2 tracks on this album that happened like that.
Yeah, I love the way it happens. When it happens fast, but what do you, when you're coming up with even short pieces like these, and I think the longest piece on here is what, maybe 3 minutes?
Yeah.
So even in the short form, sometimes it takes a very long time to compose them. Where does that come from, and how do you manage to do that?
You know, they all come from, my background is writing folk style verse, chorus, verse music, except I don't sing. And I've had 3 very good friends in my life, and they all sing, and I've written music with all of them, and all of them died young. So I'm kind of left with instrumental. And I try to hold what I'm trying to hold in mind while I'm writing. And outside of that, I don't know where it comes from. I kind of lock into a stream and I follow it, and I honor the stream, and I keep going, and 9 times out of 10, I get to the end of it and realize, like, hey, this works. And the times I don't, I honor that, and I delete 10 hours of work, and I go back and start again.
You know, I'm going to steal the phrase "honor the stream." I think I like that. I like that very much.
Sure.
You know, okay, tell me about this song.
Which one are we on?
We are on number 3, and I do not have the song list in front of me.
Is that Gregory?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So this started sometimes just to get the stream going. I'll decide, like, hey, I haven't written anything in this time frame yet, or I haven't used these chords yet, and that's where I'll start messing around. And with this one, it all started, I hadn't written anything in 7 yet, and 7 is my favorite number, so I wanted to write something in 7, and I picked 3 very easy, basic jazz chords on piano.
Mm-hmm.
They're all triads. For the people listening who play piano, they're all triads. What it was inspired by, so this whole EP was inspired by my father, who had died just before I started putting it all together. The person for whom this track is named, Gregory, his name is Greg Brickhouse, and I knew him when I lived at the Rockford Rescue Mission, and he had been diagnosed with stomach cancer, and he decided that he wanted A, to die sober, and B, to finish that program. Greg Brickhouse. And I'm getting emotional, but I've never seen, it's not often that you see somebody willing to exercise all the control they have to accomplish one goal, like, in a true way, where, you know, there's no default, there's no going back, there's no, you know, and so that caught me, and I was thinking about Greg while I was thinking about my dad, and then I was listening. I'm Hindu, and one of my favorite speakers is Swami Sarvapriyananda of the New York Vedanta Society, and he was doing an Ask Swami, which he does like once a month, and the sound clip that popped up in there popped up, and I listened to it and the story that he tells in that, and the whole thing clicked, and honest to God, I put that whole track together in about an hour. I went down to the basement with a cell phone, and I recorded like 60 or 70 samples of myself snapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then I use Linux personally, and in Linux there's a percussion sampling program called Hydrogen,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Hydrogen and I pulled some random drums off of freesound.org and started putting together a very simple, like, almost playing the photo negative of what you would play if you were playing on a drum set.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a picture of what I would play if I was playing on a drum set, and between snaps and the drums and the Hydrogen created like a photo negative of that, matched it to the music, and then threw in the sound clip. I'm very nostalgic about that song. That song in the last track are my two favorite accomplishments so far.
Well, we're now on the 4th track, and this is...
Oh, that's Dyson Spheres. All right, so Dyson Spheres.
Hold up. Dyson Spheres.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's named for a concept that pops up in a lot of 70s and 80s sci-fi books, because I'm a geek, and you know I'm a geek. The concept is being able to put, like, more or less these satellites in a net around a star to capture all of its energy and send that energy back to the home planet. This was only the 2nd track I ever produced myself. The very first one was Panic Attack at Thanksgiving Dinner, which, if anyone backs out of the album and goes into my main profile, it's the one song that's in my main profile. And I wrote it more or less to test ways to do a bunch of things. I sampled the guitar I sampled in through an old cell phone. I didn't have that. Now I own condenser mics, but at the time I didn't. So I recorded it with cell phone, condensed it, wiped all the background noise, threw it in, and honestly, there's no good reason for it being on the EP except it fits the flow of the whole thing, and it brings back a lot of good memories of fiddling around in my living room while my wife and my kids are hanging out, just figuring out how to do stuff.
Well, it's fantastic. Now, the next piece is my favorite. I'm sorry, I didn't realize there was a coda to Dyson Spheres. Excuse me. Dyson Spheres. Dyson Spheres. That's hard to say.
Dyson. Well, a lot of the way I name stuff is based on philosophical concepts or concepts out of sci-fi novels. Like Thompson's lamp itself is a mind experiment that I encourage everybody to look up. But it's, you walk into a room and you have a lamp attached to one switch, and you turn it off, and 30 seconds later you turn it back on, and 15 seconds later you turn it off, and 7.5 seconds later you turn it on, and every time you cut the time in half, at exactly 60 seconds will be on or off. And so far, even computers can't solve that.
Wow.
Let me know if I'm going, like, too deep end.
No. I get it. It speaks to the unknowable. Now, obviously, this is largely about your dad. The project,
Yes.
What Sticks, is largely about your dad. And the final track is perhaps, for me, the most evocative of all, and it is called Home Movies.
Yeah, if I had one finished track that's been published that I'm more proud of than anything, it'd be Home Movies. I don't want to interrupt too much, but I have a lot of technical notes on it.
Let's save the technical notes for just a minute.
Okay. Oh, Jesus, Paul, I'm crying.
Yeah, me too, man.
So if you're listening on headphones, in the right channel, it's my dad reading to my youngest son. Over the course of several cuts. In the left channel, it's the last time my family went to Christmas at my parents' house, which was, I think, 2 years or 3 years before my dad died.
Damn. It is lovely. I looked at the classification links in SoundCloud, and it says, first of all, it says piano, and then it says weird,
Yeah.
and then it says dream, and then it says death. I guess
Yeah.
if you don't know the story about this being part of the passage, part of a life passage, you might misinterpret that description. Maybe you'll be looking for like goth death metal or something, you know. I hear your son.
Christ, my son was like 4 years old when that was recorded.
Yeah, I miss my parents too, Chris. I miss them something terrible.
I miss my whole family.
Yeah, I miss my family too. Well, anyway, I think I'm gonna fade this out, and I think I'm gonna regroup. I need to stand up and stretch. We'll be back with part 2 where we talk a little bit about tobacco and other happy stuff with Chris Oldham, sometimes known as O.S.P. for the purposes of this project and several others, we hope. This is Thompson's lamp. Again, the project is called What Sticks. Now, I do have a bit of a warning for you, and that is you need to use the link that I put in the description box. If you try to do a search on Thompson's lamp or Chris Oldham or whatever, there's several artists apparently that are either using the name Thompson's lamp or referencing Thompson's lamp. So, let's see what we're doing here.